Your house is worth whatever it's worth, right? Whoever sells it. Wrong. I'm Charlie. Welcome to Moving Home with Charlie, and thank you for coming.
Charlie Lambdin grew up in Sussex, is the founder of Best Agent and presenter of Moving Home with Charlie.
If you want to find one of these guys, look out for those compassionate professionals. All estate agents are not the same.
So Charlie, what would be your advice for people interested in buying new builds right now?
Don't overpay. Do buy, but don't overpay. That's why I say disregard the guff. Read into the numbers and look, and it's buried. The bad news is buried in the small print, okay?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Property Press Awards.
They may or may not be telling the truth, but you should form your own view. Get out and view, get out and view, get out and view. You cannot be in a position to make offers and have the offers accepted if you're not viewing. So be out there viewing. Pay attention to the back of the class. If you've not been watching my videos, I did one just a couple of days ago. Disregard the guff, guys. Evening, Alex.
Hello, Charlie. Was that a bit of a dash at the end there?
Is it obvious I wasn't actually ready? Okay, yeah, it wasn't ready.
I can say your house is looking much more homely.
Well, we're getting there slowly. It's taking a long time, but we are getting there slowly. Although I feel like I'm coming down with something which is bothering me a bit. But
He's COVIDed again.
Yeah, okay. All good with you?
Yeah, fine.
I've just got to just put this on the screen and ask you. Somebody called Scumbag Lifestyle has said, did you know that Alex Groundwater was a critical member of the team that created the internet? Every time you use the internet, make sure you say, thank you, Alex.
I wish that were true. That would be fantastic. Unfortunately, no, that's sadly no.
Well, listen, thanks for joining me this evening. And welcome to everyone, especially my new followers. And if it's your first time here, extra special welcome. My name's Charlie Lambdin. This is Moving Home with Charlie, where my mission is twofold. Number one, working towards a home for everyone. And number two, the end of bad estate agency with my website, Best Agent. And today, the Bank of England met to discuss whether or not to change the interest rate. And they decided not to put the interest rates up. So, Alex, that means that interest rates are about to go down and house prices are going to go back up, right?
No, I don't think so.
What do you mean no? No, they paused. I mean, it's clear that they're just going to go straight, but that's the peak. It's happened. We've passed the peak of rates. They're coming down. House prices are going to bounce back up again because of supply and demand.
I have seen a lot of people jumping on that bandwagon. It doesn't seem likely. I mean, look, you know,
such a doom monger, Alex. Come on, it's such a doom monger. I mean, let's have some positivity. Maybe rates are going to go down. The house, stop being such a. Just don't bring us down, Alex. Don't bring us down.
Well, I'm very sorry. I apologize. And let's face it, I was wrong today. I did think, although, I caveated it because I was covering my arse with the fact that I do think we're very close to the point where they're going to stop raising rates. But 525 seems a little short. So I think it's just a pause. The reason I think it seems short is a whole range of things as we head into winter. Energy costs, oil certainly going up. But just anecdotally, there's no doubt that supermarket food appears to be coming down in price. I've got many more offers coming through in the last few weeks. Everyone's desperate for me to buy from their online service. And they're saying, no, the milk that you normally drink. It's like, I don't drink milk, but it's down. So we'll see. But I don't think 525 is going to be the peak. I think it will be a little higher. But as I've always said, I hope it's less than 6.
And the other question, my view on this, and I too was wrong, as some people gleefully pointed out today.
Were they by any chance landlords?
Yes, one of them was actually called Landlord. That was a Twitter handle.
Okay, well, I don't know whether they have a vested interest at all, but yeah, I get that.
Oh dear, I just thought, I'm glad I've made anyone happy. I'm always happy to make someone happy, I hope they find something more fulfilling to be happy about on another day.
People pleaser, you.
Yeah, we're so happy Charlie's wrong because he's a random guy on the internet that we don't know, and it's made our day that he's wrong. I don't understand people's fear about being wrong. This is how we learn. every time we're wrong, we learn stuff.
Yep.
I'm not afraid of being wrong. I'm wrong a lot. In fact, you could argue I've been wrong more than almost anyone we know about lots of things in life.
I'm saying nothing.
Yeah. Anyway, so, well, listen, my view is this. I agree with you. I think the Bank of England, I mean, who wants to be a Bank of England employee or monetary policy committee member right now? They've had a terrible run of it, and they've been criticized left, right, center. And so, I can imagine the conversation, outside the room beforehand, going, guys, actually, if we just leave them where they are, we don't, that's no one's going to criticize that.
Well, they're getting a lot of pressure from the government. Sorry, I am imagining that they are getting a lot of pressure from the government at this point.
But they're independent. But surely they're just independent.
Well, they are. But as Charles Archer, quite rightly pointed out, and something that we spoke about, 6 months ago, there's quite a scheme of quantitative tightening going on at the moment, and the Bank of England is selling all of its gilts, which it's holding on our behalf. And they've already sold about 80 billion of the 875 billion that was there for QE. And they've committed to selling another 100 billion next year. And, they're taking money basically out of the system. And not only that, us, the taxpayer, are going to have to cover their losses, which are going to stand at about 150 billion pounds, which is a fairly substantial sum of money. So when you add that to the fact that they keep raising interest rates, and Hunt has been desperately, trying to psyops them into not raising them because we had some good news with inflation. It's like, we didn't really have good news with inflation. I mean, it wasn't bad news.
It didn't get worse.
No. And also, as I keep saying, when inflation goes, it will go very, very fast as we plummet directly into recession. So I'm not sure why everyone fucking cheerleads it as if we should be going, oh, let's open a bottle of champagne. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah. So the other question I've had today is, does this change your view on what house prices are going to do? And I give the answer the same every single time. And I tried to put it out today about time lag. Whatever happens today won't filter through to actual house prices for about a year. So what's happening to house prices in the next 12 months is baked in no matter what happens now. Because the next 12 months, we're still going to be seeing the fallout of the rate rises of the last, what is it actually? We're going on for nearly 2 years, aren't we, since they started raising rates?
15 raises. So, it's coming up for 20 months. 14 raises. So, it's about 20 months.
Yeah. And it's so, I do get it. The whole house prices is a non-specific, non-defined, non-technical, nebulous thing. And everyone wants to know what house prices are and what's happening to them. Well, you can look at a number of different, within the space of a week, Halifax and Nationwide confirm that year-on-year house prices are down about 5%. Like one says 5.3, one says 4.7. I think it's about 5% between the two of them. And within a week of that, the Land Registry confirms that house prices have actually gone up 0.6% year on year. You can understand why your average person goes, sorry, what? Are they going down? Or are they going up? God, what's happening?
Can I give you some?
And I've got some new troll on YouTube he's a posh London agent, fan of Henry Pryor, who's coming in to defend Henry Pryor against my criticisms.
Well, you should never be mean to a man with as much hair on his head as Henry.
Well, I haven't been mean to Henry. I've just been mean about his. Well, actually, he was mean to me, if you remember, and I just defended myself. He was very mean to me on Twitter, and I defended myself. But the point was, this guy who's just commenting on every video, going, "But no, but this, but that," and the answer to every single one is, "But time lag." Yes. Today, he said to me, he goes, "Well, Henry told me that last year you said house prices were going to collapse last year." No. I never said they were going to collapse. I said they were going to collapse.
Is this football guy?
No. Don't even go there with him. I'm sorry. I made the mistake of engaging him in what I thought was
silly bugger.
I know. I try so hard to be fair and actually, okay, you've asked a question, I'll answer it. And he just descended into literally kindergarten insults within about 3 tweets. It was pathetic.
And this is why I drink.
Anyway, so sorry. The serious point I was trying to make is that there are people who would like to know, okay, what does this mean? Does it change anything? For the housing market to change direction significantly, it takes more than one interest rate change or not change. It takes more than one slight movement in wages. House prices move very slowly like an oil tanker. The speed and direction of travel change very slowly.
Yep.
And they haven't finished their their direction of travel, which is currently down, and the speed of which is going down is accelerating, is still as a result of things that were happening a year ago. Like, we are seeing now what's happening as a result of what happened a year ago in the markets, with inflation, with interest rates, with mortgage rates going up, with people's. I didn't realize wages actually turned negative in November 2021. That was when real wages stopped growing.
Yes. Yeah.
November 2021, so very nearly 2 years ago.
And they got October 22. If you remember, that was when I put the graph out showing that wages had dropped 2.7%.
Yeah,
real wages had dropped 2.7%, which was the largest fall in the same time period that we'd had since 2008, which is when I started putting the model together, which released in March. Now, incredibly, wages have stood up since then. Companies have been willing to pay. Revenues haven't dropped enough yet because people haven't felt the mortgage pain yet, because, as you say, interest rates haven't filtered through because people are on fixed term mortgages, and therefore companies are still taking the revenue, so they've increased the wages. But I do believe that is over, and it's one of the reasons that I don't think we'll get above 6%. But the oil side and the energy side, and coming into winter, and the additional costs for every transport and all the rest of these things, will push us above 5.25% before we hit the recession.
Yeah. So in other words, you do expect them to go up another notch, at least.
Bank of England rates, yes.
Yeah.
Wages, no.
No. Well, I agree. We've got a bet on this, of course. I'm actually being more bearish about wages than you. No. I'm being bullish about wages, aren't I? But the point is, so real wage growth has been negative since November 2021, very nearly 2 years ago. And Mr. Football Fucknasty, or whatever his name is on X, was going, but wages are positive. Wages are positive. I was trying to point out, yes, they just turned positive like 1 month ago. And the point I'm trying to make to people who want to know whether today's change means anything for house prices is, any 1 month reading, positive or negative, doesn't have any noticeable impact or move the needle on house prices. No. It's the combination of all of them over a prolonged period of time, which is why, because Football Fucknasty was angry that I haven't changed my 35% expectation. Will nothing make you change your mind about it?
Sorry.
I haven't yet seen anything big enough to move that needle, so no.
Can I just put something up on screen, Charlie?
Yeah, sure. Well, I trust you.
The reason I say that is because I saw that conversation with him, and it seemed to me that he was conflating a couple of things and not understanding the reality. So just let me get this here. If I full screen mode that's not going to work. Let's see.
So while Alex is doing that, for those of you who are new here, Alex has done some historical data analysis, just looking at official government data going back about 17 years or 28 years, I can't remember, about the correlation between real inflation versus house prices. 28 years, okay. So 28 years of data on real house prices, real wages, and interest rates to look for correlation. There is very little correlation between interest rates and house prices, surprisingly. It's more like that's the turbocharger. But there's a strong correlation between real wage growth or shrinkage and house prices.
Yeah. Okay. And let's be really clear on that just before we. So, wages, if you think of it, I tried to put it in an analogy that everyone would get. If you were to take two professional athletes of equal talent, the one who has the most training and who actually works the hardest is generally going to win. You know, that those are your wages. They are the training, because mortgages are a multiple of salaries. They are the most important factor in determining whether you are going to win or not, whether it's going to go up or down or not, is how much you train. However, interest rates are like food. And if you were to take the best trained athlete in the world and not feed him for 3 days and put him or her against another athlete of equal standing who'd been fed properly, well, they're going to lose. And vice versa, if you've got the right carbs on board, etc., again, your performance will be enhanced. And wages are the fundamental of house prices. But interest rates obviously either increase or suppress that. They can be an accelerant or retardant. And there is a sweet spot, and the sweet spot is about a 4% Bank of England rate, which results in about a 5% mortgage rate. Anything above that, and house prices are coming down. Anything below that, and house prices are going up. And it doesn't really matter at that point what else you're doing, except your wages. That's if wages stay flat. But let's pretend that interest rates drop to zero, but wages also drop. Guess what? Just as we saw in 2009, 2010, house prices drop, even though interest rates are almost zero. Whereas in 95 to 2007, interest rates were 5-6%, but house prices went up because salaries went up 36% over that time period. Wages are the most important factor. Interest rates, of course, make a difference and will push you up and down, but they cannot beat wages.
Yeah.
Now we've clarified that, do you want to just show that?
Yeah, sure. So what are we looking at here?
Okay. I looked at Rightmove, and I took, because I did some analysis before and people accused me of cherry picking. So I literally took the last 20 transactions on Rightmove for leasehold properties in Wandsworth. Okay, it's just the 20. I didn't cherry pick them. It's just the last 20. And what you can see here is that we have, in real terms, this is adjusted. So you've got the actual sold price when it was sold. So this particular property was sold in 2007, 2010, 2015, 2023. And you can see that it's lost 11% between 15 and 23. It's 11% down in real terms. Yeah, well, hang on a second. Hang on. That can't be right. So let's look at another one. From 2012 to 2023, it's gone up from 330,000 to 412,000. It's still lost 12%. And as you go down here, what you'll find is that the vast majority of properties, now let's take this one, the same property, between 98 and 99, obviously someone refurbed it. It went up by 55%. But from 99 to 2001, just 2 years, it went up 41%. From 2001 to 2007, it went up 64%. Basically, if you didn't buy in Wandsworth a leasehold property before 2008, you're fucked. Every person who's bought after 2008, with some very rare exceptions where they've actually done work on the property, has lost money in real terms. And yet, if I was to say to someone, oh, well, you bought in 2008, they'll tell me, oh, my house has gone up a lot in value. And this is the problem that guy who's giving you a hard time hasn't understood, is he's been looking at nominal and said, well, house prices have gone up. And we've pointed out that in reality, all they've done is go back to the 2007 prices. Then he's going, well, then how can they fall 35%? The answer is simple, because wages haven't even kept up with these, because we've been being fed the best athlete food ever with a 0.5% base rate.
We've been given steroids, right?
Correct. They've been injecting us with bloody horse blood. If you look at wages versus house prices, to get back to the 2000 level, and I think 2000, most people would say, well, yeah, house prices, they were still sort of affordable there. That was good. They would have to fall 36%. It's that simple.
Yeah. So, okay. Again, I just want to reiterate in simple terms for everyone watching, wondering if today's decision is going to make any difference to house prices, because a lot of people in the industry will now tell you, oh, what a relief. They didn't put prices back up. That means mortgages are stable. Everything's fine. You can go ahead and buy now. It's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. it's not. It doesn't change anything. And the next 12 months are going to see the steeper house falls in the last 12 months by a long way. Right. Some joker has been saying Rightmove's gone into administration.
Yeah, I don't think so.
They are one of the most cash-rich companies on the UK Stock Exchange. They are the most profitable company by net profit on the UK Stock Exchange. They're a £5 billion company. They are literally drowning in cash.
If we see them go bust, then the world is ended.
Great news for Best Agent, though.
Yeah, we can but hope then.
Yeah. So Scumbag Lifestyle appears to just be a really entertaining troll. Welcome. It's always good fun. Check BBC News right now. Rightmove has gone into administration. That's why it was down.
That can't be true.
That's not true. It's not true. Rightmove is down.
You checked it, have you?
Rightmove is down. The website's down, and it says no healthy upstream.
There we go.
Just refreshing it. Oh no, it's come back. It's back up. It's back up.
Yeah.
Anyway, right, guys.
IT admins getting kicked in the nuts at the moment.
Now, without kicking the hornet's nest again.
You're going to do it, aren't you? I know you're going to do it.
No. Hey, I'm not going there. I'm not going there.
If you mention parts per million, I'm going to get really nasty.
I'm not going there. It is in the news today because it was. Hang on a second. Let's just share the right story.
Oh, you're talking about Dishy, aren't you?
Yeah, Dishy. What's his name? Dishy.
There we go.
So this is relevant to the housing market because it says Rishi Sunak takes axe of Tory net zero plans, warning the current target would cost families £15,000. He waters down the ban on gas boilers. Hang on, I just reading out the headline, right? Yeah. He waters down the ban on gas boilers, and in a nutshell, I've dug into it. The deadline of 2026. For no more oil boilers or gas boilers to be installed has been pushed back to 2035.
Correct.
So there's now 9 extra years that people can install a gas boiler, and rural properties not on mains gas will be exempt and won't be forced to put in heat pumps and stuff like that. They'll be allowed to keep their boilers.
And has he said anything about landlords and EPCC?
I don't know. I actually don't know.
I think he
has. This is my question. Actually, this is what I was worried about, right? Is this, I mean, whatever you think of Rishi, he's a cunning, slippery sod. And he's a real hey, look over here. Don't look over there. Look over here. Look over here, what I'm doing. And everyone talks about what he's talking about, and no one looks over there. Because right now, the energy bill is in the Lords, isn't it? It's having its hearing in the Lords.
Yeah.
And that's the one saying, no, but you're still going to have to hit EPC targets.
Well, let's start this with when he says would cost families. So you have to assume that's households.
Yeah.
So imagine we have 28 million households. What's 15,000 times 28 million? Oh, God's sake. Come on, Alex.
280 million, 280 billion, plus 14... 420 billion.
Yeah, that is less than half of what it will actually cost.
All right, so nearly $1 trillion then. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. So an entire average person's salary before tax for a year.
Okay.
Can you imagine the impact of that? That is what net zero targets would really fucking do. Aside from stopping you from going on holiday if you had to fly and so on and so forth, and stopping you eating more than X kilograms of meat a year. And by kilograms, I mean grams, and by grams, I mean fuck all.
Yeah.
I'll tell you so.
This is what I want to talk about, actually. What I find really interesting about what Rishi Sunak has done today is he's actually, people had sort of written off the Tories the election. But with over a year to run, he's just put himself back in the ring, I think. Because I honestly think this is going to be a popular policy change. Because Labour have had to dig in and go, no, this is irresponsible, and we're all going to burn to death because of global warming. So we have to stick to these, and then Labour are doubling down.
I think you're a chess move behind here, Charlie.
Okay. That's very, very likely.
What I think is happening is Rishi is saying all of this, knowing that he's going to lose, but then he will have it on record that the Conservatives were willing not to bankrupt the country over net zero. So when Labour go ahead and bankrupt the country over net zero, they will only get one term rather than two.
You are thinking several moves ahead. Did you listen to his interview on Radio 4 this morning?
I haven't. I refuse to listen to anything that the Fishy Hunt.
Okay. No. I mean, I listened to it with cynicism, but I listened to it. But what I would have characterized, what I would have said about that interview with Nick Robinson was that he seemed, just speaking off the cuff, he seemed to have the courage of his convictions about this. He was asked some very, very tough questions, which he handled impressively, I thought. So I just wonder whether, because net zero, I don't think is a popular policy with the layman. I don't think.
Well, it depends. I mean, all the polls that I have seen show it's like Brexit. It's a 50-50. You've got, but just like ULEZ, even ULEZ has a whole bunch of supporters. Yeah.
So I did a Twitter poll asking whether or not people think that net zero policies have a significant effect on the housing market.
They do.
Well, I think it's a pretty incontrovertible fact that they do.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, 56% of people either don't know or don't think so. Which I find amazing.
Because they're not working through the real costs, or they don't believe they are personally going to have to pay the real costs. If I rock up at your door and tell you that you're going to have to hand over £30,000 in order to meet your targets, and by the way, you are going to take one flight a year, and there's a whole range of other things that you'd have to do, I think that suddenly you'd find that agree and disagree and don't know changes quite dramatically. But people never believe it applies to them. It applies to some other bugger who's being a bastard and has a coal-fired power station in their back garden.
Yes.
But weirdly, most people don't have a coal-fired power station in their back garden.
But I find it genuinely surprising that my audience, my followers on X, less than half of them agree that net zero policies have a significant effect on the housing market. I mean, I don't see how they can't, because talking about the policies that people are putting in place about what you're going to have to do with upgrading the energy efficiency, what that's going to cost, what happens to you if you don't do it, unless you've already bought a house that already complies with what the new regulations are going to say, which is the minority.
Not many. Yes, not many.
Everybody's going to be affected, whether you like it or not. And what I realized today is that a lot of people are unaware of the energy bill going through now.
Correct.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that.
Exactly.
You will upgrade your house, or you will pay £50,000, or I take your house away and put you in prison.
That is the best Klaus Schwab impersonation I've ever heard.
Literally, that's what it says. That one of the options will be a fine, and this isn't just for landlords. People think, it's only for landlords, right? They've got to upgrade. Private owners. This is what the bill. It hasn't yet been passed, but it's what they're proposing. It's passed one or two stages in Commons. It's now with the Lords. Is that if you don't upgrade your property, if this law is passed by the required time, you'll be fined up to £15,000 and/or put in prison.
Oh,
I mean,
RPX 1979. Sorry, EPC upgrades are being scrapped. When you say scrapped, do you mean? Sorry, this is why I knew Rishi would do something about this because of the landlord situation. Oh, it's being abolished, EPCC. That's very interesting. We need to look that up.
Can we look it up, please? Can we just check that if that's the truth? Because
no, I think it is the truth. I heard something earlier, but sorry, it's not that we're wrong. If they pushed ahead with the original plans for net zero and EPCC, then believe me, the cost would have been more than £30,000 per household.
Okay, here we go. Previously, the government shared that it would require landlords to upgrade their property to an EPC rating by 2025 on new tenancies only, and 2028 for all tenancies. However, Sunak shared that homeowners and landlords are likely, that's non-committal, to no longer be required to meet these new energy efficiency targets.
Well, it's not possible. I mean, Charlie, honestly, it's not a surprise, because when I first saw that they had put these things in place and they had said 2025 and then they extended it to 2028, there was absolutely no fucking way it was possible. You'd have to demolish half of the UK housing stock.
Okay. Well, he's saying it's been scrapped. I mean, that's a real surprise to me if it has been scrapped when they got this far with. So I just put a link to that page for anyone who wants to read it. I put a link in the live chat there. Wow. Okay.
Well, but again, it's another great gambit, because if Labour get in and they reinstate it, how fucking hated will they be?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a perfect gambit, because it was never going to happen until 2028 anyway, because they'd already extended the deadline.
And now you're like, win or lose. Win or lose.
Here you go. Have that fucking hand grenade. Go enjoy that, you cunts. Sorry, excuse my language.
How much have we got wine on the go there?
I have got wine on the go.
Excellent. So I just think that the election is not as much of a foregone conclusion as it was. And if they have a couple more clever surprises up their sleeves that they're going to drip out in the next few months, then the fight might be back on. But Keir Starmer is also making sounds like, oh, back into Europe, which is another one. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's going to be an interesting few years, as we've discussed many, many times. All the way through until 2030 is going to be exciting.
Well, on a serious note, in fact, if you don't follow me on X, which used to be Twitter, then please do. It's moving. You can find me at moving_Charlie. Just search for Moving Home with Charlie. You'll find me. I'm just going to pull up this tweet here, because I think we need to show this tab instead. Here we go. We need to make housing the defining issue of the election, right? Because housing, there's a lovely trickle-down effect of better housing in all areas of the health, productivity, security, education. Every area benefits if people have better homes to live in. People can afford better homes.
It just makes being able to go home after work, if you were to go to work as opposed to working from home, to a place that you can walk into and go, you know, this is mine, and I love it, and you know, I
feel safe
here. Yes, everything is better. And by the way, your butchers, where are we? I need to use butcher's language. How about some fishy runt? How does that sound? That describes the government for you.
Yeah. All right, guys. Listen, I just that was it. I just wanted to say, yeah, here's my reaction to the interest rate not changing. Nothing's changed. And the reason I'm still expecting, for those of you who haven't heard it before, that house prices will eventually fall peak to trough 35% nominal. The real falls will be bigger, but that'll be an average, and regionally it'll vary from a 15% drop, which is the best case scenario that I see, to a 50% drop, which is roughly the worst case scenario I'm expecting. The bottom of the market will be reached at the front line of where deals are agreed sometime during 2025, with regional variations of plus or minus 6 months. We won't see it reported until 2026, at which point everyone's going to say, see, Freddie, 18-year cycle guy, was right. Yeah, but it's a bit late finding out after the event.
Don't be upset with Freddie.
No, I'm not upset with Freddie. I don't, it's just like, I don't have a strong opinion on whether it is or isn't a thing. If it is a thing, okay, cool, it's a thing. But it doesn't
affect... not a thing. It's not a thing.
Okay, fine. So one of our loyal followers got very upset when we said the last time, and I got comments about it.
And I asked him to explain the difference between 1972 and 1990.
Right.
That's 18 years. In 1990, there was a crash, wasn't there? In 72, there was not.
No.
As prices were rising.
Yeah. But the point is that I don't have a strong view on that theory either way. I just say what I see. I just say what I see and apply the momentum of the oil tanker of house prices to what I'm seeing.
Yep.
And what I can see with the information that I have is I can see the direction and velocity of house prices sometimes sooner than the rest of the country can, because you're seeing it months after the event, at best months, if not a year after the event. And I'm showing what I'm seeing. So when people ask me about my theory, my opinion on that theory, I don't have one. Yeah, but okay, Alex, you've looked into it and found that it's already a flawed theory. I just don't think anything's that cyclical and obvious. I mean, imagine if it was. Imagine if that was absolutely bankable. Well, everyone would.
There is no cycle in nature from heartbeat through, especially housing market, that is 100% the same every single time. You have to allow for external factors. And, yes, to be honest, 18 years is not a bad marker as long as you allow plus or minus 1 or 2 years either side of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Okay. So what I'd like to ask you again, which I haven't asked you for a long time, because we've now got a lot more time under the belt, a lot more data, we're getting closer to things. So what is your revised or up-to-date expectation on interest rate peak and timing and falls and recession?
Okay, so
you get death and poverty.
Death in poverty. Okay, I have not changed my view that we will peak at or below 6%. And the reason for that is purely because of the amount of debt we have to service and the quantitative tightening that we're going through at the moment. And the entire economy will simply collapse if we get above 6%. Now, saying that, talking to two much more qualified people than myself, Charles and Dr. Sparwaga, we have talked about it. Now, they believed that it was going to be 8%, and they revised their belief down to 7%, so that we could both be wrong, if you see what I mean, or all of three of us could be wrong.
Yeah,
I can't rule out 7. If something horrendous, there was some black swan event, and suddenly we had another supply chain crisis. I mean, all it takes is the Suez Canal to be closed for a bit, and you get a huge bunch of inflation. As one of your viewers was saying earlier, their public sector pay rise has only just come through. Therefore, they're going to have more cash over the next few months. That could boost inflation. There's a whole range of things that could happen. My personal view is we'll peak at or below 6. 7 is possible, but I think unlikely. I think inflation won't be truly tamed until at least the end of the first quarter of next year. So still, 2 quarters away.
And when you say truly tamed, what do you mean?
What I mean is there's no risk of it bouncing back up. So, for instance, next month, now that we have held interest rates, I think there's a good chance that inflation may go up.
Right.
And then they'll go, oh, well, we're not pausing anymore. Now we're gonna move it up to 5.5% or 5.75%. But we are heading into a recession. Wages cannot keep going up. The first indicator will be companies laying off staff. And bear in mind that most big companies are doing their annual budgets at the moment. And so the CFO has had a chat with all the department heads and said, look, guys, I've looked at the economic forecast, and next year your budget is X. And X is much smaller than it was this year. So they are currently planning on what projects they're not going to do, so which consultants they're not going to hire, and they're planning on which permanent staff they can cut because the cost cutting is coming. And so they go, oh, well, let's lose staff. And all of that is going to happen before Christmas. And this is really cruel, and I apologize, but it'll happen before Christmas, so they don't have to pay any Christmas bonuses if they were accruing. Mm-hmm. So in the next 3 months, as we said last year, the second half of 23 is when you'll start to see the pain. And we are halfway through the second half. And I think you'll agree that we've started to see some pain over the last 3 or 4 weeks to 2 months. We're going to see more of it heading into Christmas.
Yeah.
So in terms of recession, I think that we will show negative GDP, if not next month, before Christmas.
Okay. And how long and deep do you think the recession will be?
Long. I wouldn't surprise me. Most people will turn around and go, "Oh, recessions only last, no more than a quarter or 2 quarters, and then you're recovered within 18 months." Not this one. Not this one. We will be in negative wage growth probably all the way through 24 from when it starts.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not that. I mean, there's nothing there to look forward to for anyone, is there? It's going to be grim. I share everything you just said. Yep, I don't disagree with any of it. Okay. No, I'm going to call it and wrap it up. I'm not feeling brilliant, guys. I've got a bit of I can feel like I'm coming down with something, and I just want to.
Honey, lemon, and whiskey.
Yep. Hot toddy.
Yeah. Slice of ginger in there. You're fixed.
Yeah, not bad. I don't even know if we've got any whiskey in our new house yet.
You heathen.
Yeah. Someone's asking, a full-on depression? Damn.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. And here's a question I haven't asked you before. Hypothetical question. Of the people who are going to be let go, not rehired, uncontracted, of the people who are currently earning and who won't be earning by the end of the year, what proportion of them do you think are expecting it and not expecting it?
Oh, I would say at least, I'll use the old 80-20 rule. Don't see why not. At least 80% of the people who are currently working from home or ambling into their job 3 days a week are expecting everything to continue as usual. Not only that, they've had an 8% pay rise this year, so they're happy. They're rolling in it. It's perfect, even though their mortgage has gone up, but it's okay because both of them got an increase, so it's all right. When it hits them, it will be a fucking unexpected hammer blow, and it will happen around Christmas. And I think 80% of the people that are going to get caught up in this just have no idea currently. They are totally oblivious to what is happening.
Those are the guys I'm most worried about.
Yeah.
Guys who haven't prepared for what's coming.
Those are the people that I wrote and then you made me narrate, you bastard. Welcome to 2025 for.
Yeah.
Those are those middle class people who pay no attention other than, oh, can we go to the bistro? Oh, we can. Well, the steak has gone up, It used to be only £19 for a ribeye, but now they want £23 and the sauce is extra. Those are the people who are going to be sitting there going, what the fuck? Why has this happened to me?
Guys, if you haven't seen the Welcome to 2020, I'm putting a link to it in the live stream right there. Live questions. There's a link to it. Go and watch it and you'll see what Alex is talking about.
Can I answer Jennifer's question?
Yeah, I was about to put that up. Hang on, where is it? Oh, no, that's the wrong question. It's moving too fast. Here we are. Yeah, there we are. Jennifer Jacobs says, what sectors do you think will be impacted most?
The reality is, Jennifer, that it will be all sectors, but particularly within them, their project teams. So any department, so a finance department that wanted to put a new ERP system in, or a property department that wanted to do some refurb, or whatever it may be within a company, they will all be impacted. No companies are going to escape this. But the worst impacted, obviously, are likely to be construction to begin with, because let's face it, the home builders are saying we're not going to make a profit. And if we're not going to make a profit, we're not going to build. So the tradespeople are going to get screwed. The supermarkets will continue as usual because they have to. Retail will be utterly fucked because people will spend their money online. They will not spend it in shops. And the cost of the electricity and so on and so forth will mean that more and more shops will close on the high streets and you'll see ghost towns. Finance will be the only thing that survives right up until it goes so pear-shaped that there's no finance left. and then we'll see bankers and consultants laid off in their droves.
Right. I think we found Henry Pryor's friend. I think this is him. Could you just show yourself? Rupert Lloyd Owen. Lloyd with an LH. I've never seen that sport. Guesses masquerading as certainty. I'm pretty sure he's my new pet troll on YouTube. Is that you,
Excellent.
Rupert?
He's a Welsh troll.
Yeah.
You got to love a Welsh troll. Does he live under a dry stone bridge?
I wouldn't know idea. I don't. Listen, he's probably a really nice guy. I have very close old friends of mine who think that everything I'm saying is utter bollocks, but they've always thought everything I said my whole life is utter bollocks, and they don't think something different now. I've got friends who work in the property industry who say to me, Charlie, what are you fucking talking? Why? Stop! Shut up! You're wrong. Someone even said to me, "I'll bet you 10 grand that house prices don't fall that much." I was tempted to take that one.
You should have taken that one.
Come on, Rupert. Is it you? Are you Henry Pryor's defender that's trolling my YouTube comments? I thought it was.
Somebody asked if I can answer a quick one. Somebody asked about biotech. It was a quasi thing, but also it's just across the UK at the moment. People don't know what to do with their office space, and developers who can't rent out their office space are trying very hard to turn it into life science laboratories. At the same time, Oxford and Cambridge are still regarded as real centers of excellence for research into T-cell therapies, for cancer, for blood diseases, a whole range of things, Alzheimer's. And so we've got a lot of money still in the country in small biotechs. I mean, we're talking companies that are only just IPO'd on the NASDAQ. And so there's lots and lots of interest, and there's lots of very rich people who want to live a long time who are willing to give them money. So as a growth sector, biotechs with mRNA technology, monoclonal antibodies, and T-cell therapies is something that I think will hold up pretty well. Now, they're not getting the same support they would have done under Kwasi with the investment zones and with his special concessions to life science. But any government, including a new Labour government, would be really stupid to back away from about the only thing that differentiates us from any other countries in Europe and around the world.
Great. And then someone is asking, what effect will this have on the stock market? James Davis.
Oh, my! What did I say? 4,500 by the end of 24. I think that's what I said.
Which is currently what, 7,500, roughly 7,000 something.
Yeah, around there.
Do you think it's coming down? Ooh,
you can see my. I put it on Twitter. I never delete anything on X. Sorry, on X. You can see my Zeet on X, and I said 4,500. I think by the end of 24.
It's not a Zeet. It's a post. It's just a post.
It's a tweet. They actually still refer to it as a tweet, but somebody this morning called it a Zeet, and I thought that made sense.
Yeah. Right. I've run out of energy. I've run out of puff. I do enjoy this. I'd love to chat with you longer, but honestly, I want to go sit on the sofa, put the telly on, and
you need to be back in Portugal, don't you? Having a ginginha just to take the edge off.
I had this. I love Moscatel.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, but I was drinking. I did find myself at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning having several tumblers of Johnny Walker with ice. Johnny Walker with ice, and thinking it was a brilliant idea until my legs stopped working at about 3 a.m. And my brother, who wasn't drinking, then drove me back to where his base was. But everyone else kept going till 6 a.m. and I didn't really move the next day. I couldn't move the next day.
When I was about 17, my roommate, who was half Brazilian, pulled out this hip flask that he brought back from Brazil, and he said, Alex, have you ever tried caipirinha? I'm like, no. And I went, no. He goes, try this, drink this. And we sat there, we were drinking it. Everything was great. I thought it was fine. And this hip flask must have been, it was a big leather, take it on safari, more of a water bottle type hip flask.
Okay.
I got halfway through it and he said, "Yeah, you're going to have a problem." And I stood up to realize that my legs had literally stopped working and just fell flat on my face, just in the middle of the room. So I know what you mean with the Johnny Walker. Sometimes your legs just give up. The brain disconnects from the legs.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I felt mine going and said, I think it's time we should go. Anyway, guys, thank you, everyone. I've got so many videos I'm trying to do as well. I've got other videos to do. The number one thing I want to help at the moment is people who are in transactions and need them to hold together. I'm planning to do a video on how to improve the chances of your transaction holding together. It's stuff that's not within your control, but you can influence the probabilities and hopefully improve them. So that's I feel is the most timely, moving assistance I can offer on this channel is how to hold your chain together, which involves being pretty proactive and not just sitting back and waiting for your agent to take care of it. Because I've heard story after story of long chains where one agent dropped the ball and the whole chain collapsed. And what to do when your buyer renegotiates on you and you're like, but I can't because I've got my onward purchase. There are ways of handling it. So I'm going to try and do a video on that soon. And for a lot of you who ask me every day, what do I do if I want to renegotiate? I've got at least 2 videos on that. Go to my YouTube channel and just look for how to renegotiate Moving Home with Charlie, and you'll find the videos there. But I'm not going to keep talking anymore. I'm going to shut up. Let you all go. Thank you, Alex, for coming. Thank you, everyone, for coming. For watching. Welcome again. Please do follow me on Twitter, on X. I'm nearly at 10,000 followers. Although my Net Zero Hornet's Nest today definitely lost me a few followers today. I just say I don't know. I'm just uncertain. How can you? Someone actually said, "How can you even question it?"
No.
Someone actually genuinely said that. Like, but how could you even question it? What,
okay.
I was just like, what? It was amazing. Anyway, let's not go there, guys. Thanks a lot. Have a great night.
Oh, I just wanted to do a final.
Go on. Oh, go on. I'm going to risk it then. What?
Well, carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is 421 parts per million. Okay.
Yes.
The UK's contribution to that is 0.2 parts per million. So that's 0.2 out of 421.
Okay.
The idea, and now bear in mind that 95% of that 421 is naturally occurring. Only 5% is man-made. For the
That's
UK,
the bit nobody knows, by the way.
I know. And this is, we actually contribute 0.00002% to the atmospheric gases. It's not a large slice of the pie, but we could never get to net zero. Net zero is a totally ridiculous ambition. But if we halved, and bear in mind, we've already reduced our carbon dioxide production by 38% since 1990, with a massively growing population. If we reduced it by half, which would be an incredible achievement and cost, I believe, about £1 trillion, which is where I get the 30-odd thousand pounds per head. Sorry, £30,000 per head, not 15,000 per household. If we did that, we would reduce our contribution of the 421 parts per million from 0.2 to 0.1, which I'm not sure is a massive win. And on that note,
yeah, it's also the general feel I got as well was from today's comments was that no one actually said this, but it was an undertone of, but the Earth doesn't absorb man-made carbon dioxide like it absorbs natural carbon dioxide.
Really? Because carbon dioxide changes, does it, in the atmosphere? Oh, by the way, that was the other thing. In an office, in your average fucking office, when we set the HVAC systems and we set the air changes in an office that you work in normally, that you don't walk into and suddenly gasp your throat and fall to the floor and die, the normal CO2 level that you will make sure you do not exceed, not because it kills you, but simply because it makes people a bit sleepy, is 1,500 parts per million. 3.5 times the current external parts per million of 421. So the problem is you get a lot of people, uninformed people who understand nothing about atmospheric gases, trying to explain to you how the carbon dioxide is killing the world, and yet growing lots more plants. And they don't even realize that the environment they used to sit in an office had 3.5 times the amount that they would find in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Did somebody just say there are different isotopes of carbon and oxygen? Oh, for fuck's sake.
I got this today as well. It's 99% carbon 12, 1% carbon 13, and like 0.00 nothing is.
They can all fuck off. When I breathe, guess what? It's CO2.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Right. I'm going to stop. Thank you. Brilliant. Maybe we'll come back another time on that. But
Maybe we won't.
I now feel like I have to end with this. Rightly or wrongly, my understanding is the climate is definitely changing. It's changing, right? Right or wrongly, my understanding is that it's going to cause some problems. The changing of the climate is going to cause some problems. I don't dispute either of those things, right? These are serious problems. But it would appear to be an assumption that the problem is caused by man and therefore can be stopped by man. And I cannot find any compelling evidence that the case, other than but thousands of peer-reviewed studies
of computer models. They are studies not of real data. They are studies of modeled data.
And I'm going, yeah, but okay. Every time someone in the IPCC comes up with a, but hang on, guys, they get fucking fired. Literally. You get ejected out of the IPCC unless you toe the party line. So, and you look at the funding of the studies, everything else. I mean, the biggest surprise to me of all is how no one trusts the government, no one trusts politicians, no one trusts these guys, but we all completely trust the science.
Of course. I've worked with lots of scientists.
I know, it's like I wouldn't have to trust the science if I could see it, and that's all I remain open to being persuaded. Because if someone could show me, hey, look, this is the proof that what man has done is behind this, and if we stop it, because my biggest worry
100%.
My biggest worry is everyone goes, okay, let's all adopt net zero, and we do it at massive expense, and it doesn't work anyway. And what would have been a better strategy would be, let's prepare for the worst and hope for the best, right? And preparing for the worst means let's prepare for rising sea levels. Let's prepare for changing temperatures. Let's prepare for food disruption. Let's prepare for mass migration from the rising sea levels. Let's preempt those things. Not piss into the wind, trying to start something that's got so much momentum after millennia of cycles that we don't even understand and can't possibly understand. That's my worry. That's my big
Charlie, but I mean, I don't think. I don't think. I know that you and I are both hugely in favor of stopping microplastics going into the sea, of stopping people using single-use plastics, of stopping the stupidities, the unnecessary things. But when it comes to food,
don't waste food.
When it comes to producing energy for the country, to allow manufacturing to continue, to allow productivity to continue, to allow people, and not just our country, third world countries, the poor bastards that can only afford to burn fossil fuels, and bear in mind that gas actually really isn't that bad in comparison with coal, for instance, or lignite, which is what they've got in a lot in China. We can't dictate to Africa that it has to stay at the stage that it is currently because, oh no, your energy is too dirty for the rest of the world. You're not allowed to have all the nice things that we had. You've got to just stay as you are.
Help me out here. Could you react to the comment on the screen?
There is proof when the shipping and flights slow down for 2020. Is there? I
mean, I don't know who Adam is. He's probably a very nice guy. But unless Adam himself has seen evidence, like firsthand. He goes, look at the Adam, you're just believing what you read.
But we've got Free Rangification, who keeps posting, you guys don't care about Africa. I mean, I don't know where you get that from. I thought you were going to live there.
It's
potentially.
Guys, just don't believe anything unless you've seen the evidence yourself. Just remain healthily skeptical. That's all I'm suggesting. And on that happy note, good night, everybody.
Good night.
Coming, Alex. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.